The shipping season begins in Marquette.
And cleanup efforts in Washtenaw County. Hi, I'm Trent Potts-Galen.
And I'm Caitlin Connon, and this is your Public Eye News at 4. The first freighter of this year's shipping season tied up Marquette's Upper Harbor ore dock yesterday. The Mesabi miner took on a load of coal Thursday in Superior, Wisconsin, and brought it to Upper Harbor over the weekend. More ships are expected once the Sault Ste. Marie locks open March 25th. According to a press release from the Lake Carriers Association, Great Lakes operators moved 93.8 million tons of cargo last year. This is an increase of 5.7% from 2010. This winter, carriers spent more than $75 million to maintain and modernize their vessels for the new season. Many Upper Peninsula residents were enjoying the weather as yesterday's high of 78 degrees shattered previous warmth records. Sunday's high was 28 degrees higher than the previous record and 41 degrees above the average. Meteorologists say that there is a warm weather pattern hovering over us and that the cold air is staying north. Forecasters are also predicting that the week will continue with highs in the 70s. The rest of the month should stay fairly warm with highs in the 50s and 60s.
Cleanup efforts are in effect in Washtenaw County after a tornado swept through the area last week. According to AnnArbor.com, the Dexter Township Board approved $200,000 toward cleanup efforts on public right-of-ways following last Thursday's storm. Township Supervisor Pat Kelly says the money is for, quote, the big stuff, the unsafe stuff, left behind by the storm. No serious injuries were reported following the tornado, which hit Dexter, located west of Ann Arbor, as well as other areas of Washtenaw County, including Dexter Township. Nearly 100 people were forced to evacuate a 6-story assisted living facility in Michigan after a fire broke out late last night, according to authorities. WJRT-TV reports there were no serious injuries following Sunday night's fire at Braidwood Manor in Davison, located about 50 miles northwest of Detroit. The fire broke out on the second floor, and firefighters from several departments around the area assisted in putting out the fire and evacuating those within the building. The station also reports residents of 6 units were unable to go back inside due to damage. The facility is providing assistance to those residents, and the cause of the fire remains under investigation.
A Port Huron woman's dog saved her life by sniffing out a rare form of breast cancer that doctors couldn't find. Lisa Hubler says that her dog, named Effie, found the tumor that had spread from her right breast to the lymph node in her left armpit. Hubler says that Effie's persistent sniffing tipped her off in April, although mammograms found nothing. Later, doctors determined that Hubler had a rare form of cancer called lobular carcinoma. Hubler's prognosis is good thanks to the dog she now calls her savior. A Wisconsin man drowned yesterday while trying to rescue his dog from the Mississippi River in Prairie du Chien. The man jumped off the bridge into the water to save his dog. Witnesses say that the man began struggling, then disappeared under the water, and 911 was called. The man's body was recovered yesterday night. And when Public Eye News returns, police are investigating a car chase that ended inside a building.
And we'll take a look at the latest shooting incident in France. Stay with us.
Oil from these animals was hugely valuable.
The biggest hunt in human history.
It's the riskiest, the most extreme, the farthest away, beyond anything that we can imagine.
It was an endeavor that inspired the deepest and darkest poetry of America.
The ship, great God, where is the ship?
Into the Deep, America, Whaling, and the World on American Experience.
Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern.
And welcome back. Contrary to the record highs that we've been experiencing here, Arizona and New Mexico are on the other extreme with snow. A day before spring officially starts, parts of Arizona will remain buried under snow today as a surprising late winter storm halted travel and closed schools. The National Weather Service issued a winter storm warning for the mountains of central and eastern Arizona. 10 to 14 inches fell in the city of Flagstaff, while the city of Prescott saw 8 to 12 inches. According to the Arizona Highway Patrol, heavy snow and strong winds forced the closure of 180 miles of Interstate 40 in northern Arizona until further notice. New Mexico is expected to be impacted by the storm late tonight. And state, county, and local investigators are all working together in Aberdeen, only they're investigating a crash involving police cars in an apartment building. As Eric Schaffhauser reports, it started as a chase when 2 officers were called in for backup, but it took a turn for the worse.
This is not what neighbors in this part of southeast Aberdeen expected to wake up to.
Heard the sirens first and then the impact, and that jarred us completely out of our sleep.
The crash sent 2 police cars into an apartment building and 3 people to the hospital. Officers in both vehicles were responding to help another officer with a fleeing suspect. One of the squad cars was headed north, the other was driving east. They collided in this intersection a little after 4 o'clock this morning. Alicia Chamberlain and her husband live right across the street.
Within a couple minutes, there was another officer here, there was 2 ambulances here, a fire truck, and then more officers, and they responded pretty quickly, that's for sure.
Chamberlain saw the driver of this car walk from his vehicle. Emergency responders had to extricate a 21-year-old passenger who was trapped in this car. All 3 went by ambulance to the hospital. Just across the street, Chamberlain feels for those involved, but is thankful it wasn't worse, considering the sound that woke her up.
It was very loud. I keep hearing it over and over again in my mind. I keep hearing the sirens and then just the complete stop from the impact.
In Aberdeen, Eric Schaffhauser, Kiloland News.
The Supreme Court could throw out an $18 million penalty against a natural gas company convicted of an environmental violation in Rhode Island. In arguments today, several justices were skeptical of the government's case for upholding the penalty against Texas-based Southern Union Company. The company is facing the penalty for improper storage of mercury in a building in Pawtucket. The court is focusing on a line of cases limiting judges' discretion to increase prison sentences. The Supreme Court opened fire in front of a gunman opened fire in front of a Jewish school in France, killing 4 people, including 3 young children. The gunman then took off on a scooter. It is the latest in a string of motorbike shootings in and around the city of Toulouse. Last week, a gunman killed 3 soldiers in 2 separate attacks before escaping on a scooter. Manuel Gallegos reports from New York.
Grieving relatives arrived at the Ozar HaTorah school as news spread of the shooting. All the children from this school are like my children, this woman said. Police say a gunman on a motorbike opened fire just before classes started at the school in the southwest city of Toulouse. A rabbi, his 2 young sons, and another child were killed. The prosecutor says he shot at everybody who was near him, children and adults. The children were chased inside the school. Investigators are looking into whether the attack is related to 2 others in the same area last week. In those shootings, the gunman killed 3 soldiers before escaping on a scooter. French President Nicolas Sarkozy rushed to the school. He promised to find the killer.
Tragédie nationale.
Authorities are trying to determine if this latest shooting is a terrorist attack. So far, the motive is unknown. But one of Israel's top diplomats in France says it's clear the shooter singled out the Jewish community.
The Jewish school was a target. This is something that cannot be understood. How can you aim at children from a close range and kill them at innocent civilians?
French media reports the soldiers in last week's attacks were of Arab descent. Security is now tighter at both Jewish and Muslim buildings around Toulouse. Manuel Gallegos, CBS News.
The Duchess of Cambridge has delivered her first public address at a children's hospice in eastern England, giving a confident, albeit brief speech. The former Kate Middleton addressed both staff and volunteers at East Anglia's Children's Hospice in Ipswich, England. Frequently, she glanced at her notes at first, but made a good impression Monday, drawing chuckles for the absence of her husband, Prince William, who could not be present due to a military assignment in the Falkland Islands. Public engagements are a huge role in royal life, and Kate's address will be closely scrutinized by royal watchers for signs of how easily she is adapting to her new role. And coming up after the break, we'll have your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
A movement against childhood vaccines.
These mothers know what made their child sick.
Something happened to our children, which then led to autism.
But is there fear warranted?
12 epidemiological studies showed that that wasn't true.
And is there a public health risk?
It's an outbreak waiting to happen.
The vaccine war. Watch Frontline.
Tuesday evening at 10 on Public TV 13.
And welcome back to your Public Eye News. I am Tyler Wallen, and it is a beautiful day out here in Marquette. The sun is shining and the wind's blowing. And it's looking like it is currently ahead. We're looking at sunny skies with a high of 77 with south winds at 13 miles an hour and a barometric pressure of 29.91 and falling. Moving ahead into tonight, we're looking at isolated thunderstorms with a low of 54 with south-southeast winds at 13 miles an hour. Looking ahead into tomorrow, we're looking at some rain with a high of 32 and winds at south at 15 miles an hour. Looking around the UP, we are looking at 57 in the Sioux, 61 in Manistee, and 55 here in Escanaba. 62 in Menominee, 76 in Iron Mountain, 79 in Ironwood, 70 in Houghton, and a nice warm 77 degrees right here in Marquette. Take a look into what's coming up ahead. On Wednesday, we got a high of 67 and a low of 50 with some rain. On Thursday, we're looking at a high of 60 and a low of 46 with some isolated thunderstorms. And on Friday, the start of the weekend, we're looking at a high of 52 and a low of 45 and some thunder showers. So, John, what's this I hear about a little shakeup in the NFL free agency?
A big move was made today, that's right. I'm John Young with your sports. It appears that the speculation of where star quarterback Peyton Manning will land is coming to a close. Today, the four-time MVP called Denver Broncos former quarterback and current Vice President of Operations John Elway, telling him he decided on the Broncos. Terms of the contract have yet to be released, but sources say it should be in the range of 5 years and $95 million. The team met on March 9th, and that was a prospective deal. Second-year breakout quarterback Tim Tebow is expected to be traded. The quarterback took the NFL by storm this year and led Denver to the playoffs after a slow start. Although he found success with the team, Tebow struggled to throw the ball, and the Broncos lost 4 of their last 5. Other teams in the running for Manning were the Tennessee Titans and Miami Dolphins. March Madness is living up to its name with shocking upsets that have left brackets busted everywhere. Last Friday, number 2-seeded Duke lost to 15th-seeded Lehigh 75-70. And the same night, 2nd-seeded Missouri dropped a heartbreaking 86-84 game to 15th-seeded Norfolk State. It marks the first time that multiple 2-seeded teams have lost in the first round. All 4 number 1-seeded teams are still alive, but North Carolina's shot at a title took a major hit yesterday. Star point guard Kendall Marshall went down late in the second with a broken wrist in the team's win against Creighton. Syracuse, also a number 1 seed, is without star center Fab Melo due to academic issues. Many experts are saying that this is leaving the field open for number 1 seeds Michigan State and Kentucky. In baseball news, the transition back to third base hasn't been a smooth one for Detroit Tigers star slugger Miguel Cabrera. The right-handed power hitter took a ball to the face after a bad hop caught him off guard in a spring training game today. The shot left Cabrera's face bloody and he was forced to leave the game. The injury is going to require stitches and he is expected to get x-rays tomorrow. Cabrera played third base when he was a member of the Florida Marlins, but since he was traded to Detroit, he moved to first base. The Tigers acquired free agent Prince Fielder this season, and that pushed Cabrera back to the hot corner. Once considered a defensive liability, the 6-time All-Star adjusted well to first base. Manager Jim Leland is hoping that he can make the same transition back to third. So, Trent, is it a bomb or not?
Well, that's what police in Clarksville are wondering, too. Police in Clarksville, Tennessee are still scratching their heads over a mysterious suitcase discovered in a trash can. Police dispatched the bomb squad who said that whatever it is, it's not an explosive device. The hard-sided suitcase was lined with aluminum foil and contained wires, a small fan, a light bulb, sand, and electrical tape. Police spokesman Officer Jim Knoll tells a local paper they're still trying to figure out what they have found. And it's a bargain Maserati. A 2005 Italian sports car has been sold for just over $30,000 on eBay. The sheriff's office in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, seized the car from a drug dealer more than 2 years ago. At the time, the value was pegged at $80,000. An earlier attempt to sell the car fell through due to needed repairs. No word yet on how much authorities will net from the Maserati sale following repairs.
Sounds like quite a deal.
I know, especially for $50,000. I mean, that's great.
I guess it pays to take your time to shop online sometimes.
That's right. And how about that March Madness?
It's been quite a season so far. It's definitely been surprising for a lot of people. I don't think many experts could have picked 2 number 2 seeds to lose in one night.
I don't think so either. But that's all the time we have for you today for Public Eye News. We'll see you tomorrow at 4.